Good morning. Hello. This is a different setup. My goodness, I'm still getting used to it. Really good to see you. Welcome to the live stream because I missed you so much. I did. I genuinely did. I really missed you. We haven't hung out for a little while, but it's awesome to see so many of you in the live chat. So please let me know if I've set everything up correctly, if you can see me and if you can hear me, and we'll just get the show on the road. I hope I've done everything right because I'm a little bit rusty. It's been a couple of weeks. Thank you for that. Awesome. A cold as here. Hey, Gabriel, I tell you what, let's have a little competition. You are. We're freezing here in Monaco at the moment. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Tara. Can you be my camera, please? And let me know, just remind me to hit the record button. So just a quick catch before we get started. A huge shout out and welcome to all of our new members. Just so rapt that you're here with us on Tish Academy. I hope you're here with us. It's all about traditional oil painting and acrylic painting for that matter. You know, this year we're going to be making some pretty big moves and some pretty big changes to how we do what we do. But rest assured, Tish Academy is just going to be getting even bigger and even better. And I just can't wait to bring you along this exciting journey. But please welcome to my welcome. It is really, really nice to have your company here. Man, I tell you what, I'm coming to you from a little bit of a different room. Would you like to see my home studio? I'm actually coming to you from my home studio. We decided I didn't want this live stream to be number 100. Okay, technically it kind of is, but it's 99.1. We might get up to 99 or 5. So here I'm going to be coming to you every week, but with just some sub live streams, and these are going to be just a little bit shorter, just a couple of hours today. But the grand number 100, live stream 100, is going to be from the brand new studio space. So let's have a quick catch up. But would you like to see my home studio space? Okay, cool. This is very big, but I'll show you. Come along with me. All right, here we go. So basically, I'm in your standard sized bedroom. Okay. First thing I want to talk to you about and tell you about is lighting. What do you do when you have a low ceiling? You see that? You can see the light shining on my dome here. This is why I had to come here. So the thing is that with such a low ceiling, how do you get even light? Because what it does is it forces to have your light mounted too close to your work source, or does it? Okay, so here's the solution I have. This is an Amaran, Amaran P60X. You don't need to buy this exact model. What this is a bicolor LED panel with a high CRI, color rendering index. It's got more color, right? I switched this to 5,000 degrees Kelvin to ceiling. So now my workspace is even light. And the reason is, and this can be really closely matched to what I had in the previous studio. I want even light because I don't want any light spots or dark spots on the actual choppy. Wasn't sure if it was my speakers, but I'm getting scratchy choppy. Okay, I'll work on that. Give me a second. I'm getting no sound whatsoever. Well, turn your mic on, Hal. You wouldn't even hear me say that though. Let me try this. Let me see. I'll put it on my actual collar. These Rode Wireless are a little bit weird. How about that? Is that coming through? Is that coming through? I think it's a connection. Could be the connection. I'm coming to you now through just Wi-Fi connection. I don't have it hardwired in today. I'm going to see if I can work on the hardwire connection for the next stream. But if you got me there, better. Okay, thank you. Missed that. It's a bicolor LED panel that I've bounced off the ceiling. Now, if you've got slightly off-white ceilings, like a cream color or a little bit of warmth, that's going to reflect onto your painting. If you want to work under cool like me, just switch that a little bit colder. The higher the degrees Kelvin, the cooler the light. That's all a little bit technical, but suffice to say, I'm pointing this straight up. There's no, normally I have a soft box on here. There's no soft box, so it's just bouncing straight off the ceiling. So here we go. Here's my setup. There's my desk. right? I got a nice old desk. It's got just enough room to swing a cat. You know, camera gear. Here we go. Here's the pallet dolly, like you, right? But this time I'm using another soft box to light that. This is what we're going to be working on today. Over here in the corner, I can switch my cameras around. I got my drawing station in the corner. It's very basic. But I tell you what, it doesn't, the size of the space doesn't matter. It really doesn't. You know, I love working in a nice big studio space, don't get me wrong. I mean, it helps if you're going to be working on monumental, epic stuff, right? But the size of space doesn't matter. What matters is the 2 feet between you and that easel. So if I've got that 2 feet space here, the wall could be behind me. Now, sure, I work on a big one, but for little bitty color studies like this, I think we're going to be okay. So I thought I need to sling some paint today, right? And one of the ways that I can kind of blow out cobwebs is to do exercises that we're doing recently, is work on some smaller works, particularly these color studies. So I whipped these up, these color study boards, and they're just basically, you know, 10 centimeters by 15 to 20, depending on the size. But some of them, planning, I go ahead and put in a variety of rectangles. This one's a little bit shorter. This one's a little bit wider, and then wider still. Some of them are nearly a little bit further this way, or nearly 2 to 1 proportion. But this gives me some options. I've even got some verticals that I could play with if I want to go for portrait format. I'm also doing something else, a little different. I'll show you this. All right, check this out. So here, I've actually got cadmium orange that I've used as my imprimatur. Here I've got rose, and down here I think I use transparent red oxide. And it's amazing the difference of the color. I just want to play with imprimatur. They've all got a warm undertone. They're all going to work really well. Audio is still breaking. I don't know what I can do about it. Can you guys just put up with it today? I don't know what I can do with it. It's just the connection. That's all it is. It's the connection. So 1 second, I might just do something. Honey. Rachel, darling. I know what it is. When he goes to kindy, when my little boy goes to kindy, the TV will be off that as well. It's the Wi-Fi connection. Yeah, not too bad, says Robin. Okay. You're just going to have to grind it out, Irene. That's right. Thank you, Ron. Awesome. Awesome. I can hear and see you enough to get what you're saying. Thank you, Lori. Promise next week, again, it's your stream, just to say good day. I promise next week, though, we'll have a proper connection. I'll hardwire it in. I've got, but I don't know how to get it through the house to. Thank you, Noah. Good to see you, brother. Okay, hey, so Jim Fairburn is an imposter. He's pretending to be me. He's just entered the live chat. Just to let you know that for today's live stream, the references have been attached in your Academy library. Okay, let me tell you something. I was down the road weeks ago to Dunedin Airport, and I saw something really interesting. There we go. I saw something really interesting. Beautiful. I had to catch an early flight. I was headed up to Auckland, and the sunrise was just sensational. Really beautiful. Kind of had a simple quality to it. It wasn't like the most epic sunrise, but just a beautiful arrangement of colors. Really beautiful gradient in the sky. Dark foreground, giving me these tonalist painting vibes, old master vibes. And why am I in a small room? You weren't here at the beginning, I am no longer my old parents. I've moved to I'm in my right now. The builder's up. Anyway, I'll get back to the reference in a second, but because Desiree's just entered the chat here. Hello, Jim Meeker. How are you? Basically, yeah, we've moved home and studio. I've moved 2 hours away from Lawrence. I now live in Wanaka, and we are setting up a brand new space, and it is absolutely enormous, and I cannot wait. as our team was expanding, as the business was growing, and as I wanted to do more with the academy, there was definitely, I came hard up against a ceiling that I hit and I realized I wasn't going to be able to do in such a little town. And so we decided to this Thursday, the builders arrive. I'm going to be putting on my tool belt and getting my my power tools and my hammer and nail stuff, and I'm going to be helping them this Thursday. The first phase of building is going to happen Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the fit out of the space, and then we're probably going to finish it off the following weekend. Then I got carpet coming in, lighting, electrical, and then somebody's coming in to do a beautiful epoxy floor for our gallery space. So start recording. I will in a second tomorrow. Let me know in 5 minutes, okay? All right, so back to the reference material. So here, beautiful, really beautiful sunrise. But there's something interesting. Now, I don't know, please don't fuss at me, but I was the only one on the road. So this particular morning, I was shooting just out the car window. And as I'm doing so, the trees are, as you can imagine, you're going down the road, and you know, we drive on the other side of the road here in New Zealand. So I'm not drifting into oncoming traffic, okay? But I'm just hanging my phone out the window, through the windscreen as well. And so as we're driving past, these trees are cutting past the windscreen, and it's changing the composition. And I'm starting to think, ooh, there's a painting. I really do love this building too, and this horse trailer. There's something nice about that. But I want to come up with something very simple in the foreground, just a collection of shapes, but it's really about the sky, and then mirror that sky in some way with some sort of water feature, but subtly. You know, the way the tonalist would have done, the way maybe some of the Dutch masters would have done. Okay, so that's what we're working with. The shots there. You all 100 I was going click, 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 because I was watching the road, right? And so I'm just clicking like crazy with my thumb as I'm driving down the road. But glad to capture this moment. Not be painting. I mean, sometimes it's nice to have just a simple scene. Just something, just lovely, just quiet. Doesn't have this grand epic statement. All right. Will we have a new studio build coming soon? Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be doing that. I'm afraid we'll lose you to a remodeling business soon. Yeah, haha. Not really. Yeah, that's all right. That's right, Raph. Absolutely. Yeah, so sunrise on there. So, sunrise. Okay, some is better than none, says Irene. Okay. Cool. All right. By the way, because I'm coming to you from my home, maybe pop in from a visitor, a 3.5-year-old visitor. So we'll see. Okay. To a high boost. Okay, Hal, that sounds like a good fix. Well done. We drive on the left-hand side too, says Nettie. Yes. There we go. Let's go. Good morning. Now, I'm there tomorrow. I'm going to make sure we're focused. And let's get the show on here. I will also just let Rachel know quickly that to turn that telly off because it's streaming. Okay. I am recording on both tomorrow. Can confirm. We'll go ahead and load up the angles. Bear with me. Honey, is there any chance you can turn that off because it's streaming and it's causing it to cut out and buffer? Sorry. Oh, Bubba's not going to be happy with me. Oh, well. All right. Yeah, it does fly fast there, Jim. It does. It does, definitely. Okay, so let's go ahead and here. Start working on this top one. Let me just make sure I can get my focus in check. And let's start going. Go ahead and download materials so you can follow along with what I'm doing. I don't want you to miss a thing here. And hopefully, you know, as I said, chipping away. That said, I am feeling, if I'm completely honest with you, a little bit rusty. Moving Moving's terrible. Moving sucks. I don't know anybody that likes to move. I like being here. That's cool, but pretty blooming awful, to be honest. So I'm really glad that I'm now here, and it's pretty much good to go. Still a few rooms that are a bit chaotic, but hey, that's moving for you. One of the things I've started doing recently, just to let you know, okay, with my brushes, is I've been leaving them in this stuff, this brush and hand cleaner. I've talked to you about this before, but I've been leaving them in this overnight, and it's giving me a really beautiful softness, but the next morning I have to just give it a quick rinse with Gamsol. So we're going to start off here with a synthetic pointed round, like we normally do. A little bit of liquid on the brush, and a combination of burnt, there we go, and a little bit of permanent crimson could be okay. I might go for the quinacridone magenta here this morning. And let's start sketching up our composition. Now, just a bit of a tangent while I sketch this up, and I'm going to just be thinking out loud here, talking to you about it. Makes them lovely and soft. It does, Nettie, absolutely. I uploaded a new video. I did it very stealth-like last night. I uploaded a new video to the Creator Activator. And I noticed something, and you know, one thing I should do for you, actually, let me just drag in a couple of these images. I'll drag in this one. Let's go ahead and drag this in. Here we go. If I drag this in, you'll be able to see what I'm painting while I paint. And I want to tell you about this thing that I found. Okay, here we go. Let's just reduce the size of that one. There we go. Now you can see what I'm looking at. How good's that? And we'll get one more. I kind of like this. This one's neat. This one's got a really lovely rhythm to it. That's an interesting word when it comes to composition. Let's talk about that. Oh, come on. Don't be like that. There we go. So I uploaded this video last night. You know, as I do, I had a little bit of a scroll. I try not to too much, but I came about this this lady who was making some coloring in books for her kids, and she was uploading into AI family photographs, and it was spitting out these in books. Like, whoa. So I had to go, uploaded a few coloring in books, a few family photos, and just for things for Hugo to color in. Not anything for me to publish, not for my paintings. I went down this crazy rabbit hole, and it blew my mind. And I hadn't really looked into it as much as I probably should have, but that one action right there, just this whole thing just unfolded in front of me. Not in a good way, but not in a bad way either. It's a really important video, if I do say so myself. Check it out. It's in the Creator Activator thumbnail. It just says, prepare for what's coming. And I really hope that's going to spark an interesting discussion in the comments section. So check that out. So just to give you a heads up, Creator Activator. If somebody, maybe even if Jim Fairburn wants to find the link to that and post that direct link in the chat, that would be awesome too. Yeah, it's going pretty smoothly there, Romy. Thank you. So, I don't know. I'm thinking about just some very simple shapes, but there's something that I really like about the variety of textures and variety of kinds of shapes. You've got things that block out the sky, things like and our gum trees. That would form something very interesting in one section. That would bring a little bit of character in a way. So I like that. I think maybe against that gum tree or pine. Let's make it a pine. Why not? It is me after all. I do like a good pine. I think over against the base of that, we could have something like a barn or a shed or something. I'm going to put something rectangular there. Undecided. Don't want to look flat to it. What's going on in that sort of space. Coming through okay. Let me just check on the other screen and make sure that we're looking all right here. Where are we? Maybe if I could just get a little bit of feedback there from either Jim Fairburn or someone that the color is looking okay. Because on my screen here, it looks really yellow. All right, bear with me. There was going to be a few hiccups for today's stream because it's... yeah, it's a little bit of an impromptu stream. Here we go. It is buffering too on my end. Okay. Actually, it looks okay. On the live feed, it actually looks okay. So it's my cameras that are playing up. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Good to know. Good to know. All right. Still choppy on the vocals. Color is good so far. Color seems more vibrant. Okay. Yeah, talk about it, Marlies. Absolutely. Glad you're back again. Okay. Shout out to everyone if you haven't purchasing a print by. Hey, you received it, Paul. Fantastic. Thank you, man. Thanks for the shout out. So what I was saying is I really like a variety of shapes. So if I have something solid, I like it high and to the left, clipping the top of the point way off. I think that would look really, really nice. I really do like some of these others too. That are a little bit further away and a slightly different shape. So maybe here we could have, like, they're in their winter form, so complete lack of foliage, but we could have a little something there. So something high, something shorter, open up a path under here, and then maybe, just maybe, have our shield of cloud moving through here and the bright spot right there. So then, what do we do with this foreground? I wanted to keep it pretty simple, but one thing I would love to have is just the indication of a few animals in here, just a couple, not too many. Maybe under that bunch of trees, so there'd just be a subtle tonal shift. We'll play with that. Very, very hazy and dark on that green field. But then somewhere around here, we could have just a touch of water, reflection, maybe a little bit of a stream coming through. But this would give us an opportunity to bring some of that brightness of the sky down into our foreground. That's what I'm thinking. So a very simple composition, really, really simple. Series, I know. But I'm thinking about barns and buildings. I'm thinking about, is that the Terminator foot smashing a painting in the thumbnail? Yes, it is Jim Meeker. Yep. So I'm thinking about just doing a series of roughly 2 to 1, very simple composition, because we need to talk about composition. So I really want to talk about how to create something simple, effective, lead the viewer, create that depth, but just give you some really simple do's and don'ts when it comes to composition. We need to talk about composition more. Blurry from me. Anyone else? It'll be the stream quality. Again, I apologize for the stream quality. We'll carry on. However, if you have a question, then please type in 3 capital Q's, QQQ, for question. And then that way I will see your question. Just check the camera, by the way, there, Gabriel, and it is focused. And type in 3 capital Q and let me know. Question. Let's go ahead and any plans to add more. There you go. So yeah, exactly what I'm talking about, Jose. Yes, we're going to be doing a lot more of that and filling that out here. This year, that's a big project for us this year. On color mixing, materials, more stuff on some of the more technical aspects of the process. I'm continuing to get a question regarding that. All right. G'day, Andrew. How are you? Good to see you. All right. Hey, no worries, Jens. Thanks for being here, man. Thank you. Type QQQ before your questions so you can see the questions easier. Thank you, Jim Meeker. Appreciate that. All right. No stream, says Bill. Bill's giving me a critique. So what I'm doing is it's not necessarily a stream, but it's kind of broken in a way. But I do want some erosion there, but just an indication that there's some lightness there. But it's not going to be overt like a stream going. But that's a good thing. Golden ratio revisited maybe calipers, says Sharon. I had a lot of questions about calipers. The secret to making golden ratio calipers is to use the golden ratio. I think I've honed in pretty closely to what I want this composition to look like. As I said, you know, very simple. Mountains in here though, so I'm going to go ahead and just increase the size of that, make that a little bit bigger. There was a hill over on that side. I don't think we need it, but I think we just go across with there's a beautiful view there. Let's get going. Now I'm going to do this one slightly differently. I know. I want to play. I'm going to continue to play with my approach. The way I'm going to do this one is I'm going to be using mainly synthetics. Keep that paint nice and thin. And I'm going to use one bristle brush. This is a long filbert brush. This one here, extra long filbert. Beautiful brush. Left in my studio by one Ben Delabarca. I'm really glad he left that because I'm enjoying painting with it very much. It gives you a really painterly feel. We've got a long filbert and an evergreen filbert. Before I start adding any texture and copious amounts of paint, what I'd like to do first is just get my darks established and get color. Now, why are we doing this? I should probably explain why are we doing this exercise at all? Why paint something so little? Why have that attached to the board? Well, if you saw one of those previous live streams, you'll know. Well, the answer is very simple. It's basically to get an idea of what composition could look like. Do my thinking, strategizing, planning here. But be prepared to make a mistake at this scale, knowing that you can fix it very quickly. Or you could just do one. There's nothing involved. It's just a very simple, fast exercise. So that's why this. Now you asked me, why are there 3 whites on your palette there? Well, I'm using a new white here, Flemish white, straight in from Blue Ridge Oilpaint.com. Check him out. I love his paint. That's what I use. So Flemish white is a lead-based white, blue, bit of quinacridone magenta. I'm going to start there. What I'm picking up in my reference is a beautiful violet note. I'm going to keep it pretty light because we're going very light on that gradient in the sky. But I want this to be a shape and a color that shows through. Now, I'm not going to the furthest element, which is because in this scenario, that's going to be very punchy and saturated. I might save some notes towards the end. I'm actually going to flip the process in the head. I'm going to go with somewhat the distance first and work my way forward. That sky, because that's the brightest, most saturated thing. That for the end. Does that make sense? Right. We have another question here. Please give me a little to gain the desire to return and paint as I used to. Since my biggest critic, my mom, passed away, I'm so sorry, Antia. I have to motivate myself. All right. That's a big one, Marlies. That's a very big one. I'm really sorry for your loss. That's I think it's important to get in touch with reasons why paint in the first place. Shift your focus of what that's giving you, how it's feeding you, how it's driving you. when you shift your focus, it can sometimes unlock a newfound motivation and passion for your craft. One thing though, I hope you don't mind me asking you this question. One thing I would ask myself in this situation, if I was in your shoes, is what would they want from me? What would they want from me? You know, and it sounds like she was your biggest critic, but I'm sure she supported you as well in a way. Maybe I'm wrong there, but just from reading your message. But painters got to paint, Marlies, and I jump right and just start small. Start some little stuff. Don't worry about reigniting the passion. Take some of the pressure off yourself. You know, it doesn't have to be like amazing like it used to be, but just take some of the pressure off yourself and just start. Just start something small and one time, one brush after another. You know? Yeah, sorry to hear that. Having a block too right now, only because I've completed an incredibly difficult commission. Yeah, hey, and you could be burned out. We'll go back to painting soon. Just gonna have some fun now. Yeah, absolutely. You know, one way that you could do it is you could do this. You could do this. Do a bunch of small stuff on one board and just get ideas out. It really helps me. You know, which does, I mean, it does sometimes happen. I get burned out. The question was Antia. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Question was from Antia. Beg your pardon. Okay, thank you. Burned out. Andrew, I think, thank you for, yeah, okay, yeah. Was a porcelain painter, right. Sorry, you're both in Germany, right? Maybe I got the right country. I apologize, I misread that. I'm trying to read and do this at the same time. No excuse though. Buffering makes it hard to catch what you're saying. It makes it worthwhile. Sorry, Andrew. Do I need to make a video on, burnout? Not at all, James. Good to see you. Yeah, I know you've been through it. It's taken me over a year to get back to painting. Yeah, after your son passed. Yeah, and again, I'm really sorry. It didn't work out well if you force it. Yeah. So I again, allow yourself some time and some space. That's okay. That's totally okay. All right. So trees that is of that. Those blue mountains, I'm noticing some really interesting, subtle little colors peeking through. And with that, I've got a little doohickey on my brush. Get off. I'm thinking about my blues, my greens. It's just subtle little variations as I go. Right now, to experiment with these colors and think about this. So the shifts that I want to be making are just very subtle indeed. We'll work back into that. We'll just get a little bit of this darker color in front. So maybe that's a tree line and we got some distant hills, just bands at this stage, and we'll break the rhythm formed by these trees. The next layer along, as we get into the green of the field. Now bear with me, if you're new here, the paintings start off very small. Small. They start off small too, but very slow. I'm thinking about my color arrangement. Can you see that color I'm mixing the palette? So we can green color. I've got this whopping great big, I'm going to switch this light off because the recording is suffering. You can see me. I don't need the light on me. Okay, that made all the difference right now to my recording of the palette shot. Thank you. But as I was saying, it takes me a little while to think about this, to get going, to apply this color, to think about the arrangement, to just play. You can be a little more adventurous at this scale too. But in terms of burnout, you know, Lori, Marlies, Antia, and others, I highly recommend this. Yeah, that's well, the world's still here, eh, Stephanie? We're still trucking. We're still trucking. Yeah, Eileen, I think that's a really beautiful suggestion. Yeah, yeah. Stephanie, I just want to basically back there. Stephanie's saying something about, and forgive me if I'm misunderstanding this, but things that hijack your dopamine. Um, things like scrolling on social media, just distractions as well. This is something that it can be counterproductive for us as artists. I have to be very careful how I consume, for instance. Not that it gets me down. I mean, it's just such a. Some of it makes me angry. A lot of this AI stuff makes me angry. But it's important to be aware of. But you really need to put a lid on how much stuff that takes you out of that zone. The other thing I like to do is I like to clean and organize my space. That by having a really nice environment in which to work, can sometimes draw that creativity out of me. Does anybody ever do that? They're fixing to do something, they clean the house. All right, do we have another question from James Ito? G'day, James. All right, would you make a DIY video about packing and shipping art? I've already done it. It's in the Creator Activator there, James. Check it out. I do it work in a museum as a registrar. Yeah, check it out. Yeah, seeing too much and scrolling has been a motivation killer, says Lori. Yeah, it can be. But in which way? In which way? I want to see stuff that's inspiring. Throwing a lot at me that they hijack your attention. They're bright, flat. They're just. It's like, why are you showing me this? I don't give a rat about Hollywood. You know, and there's been a whole influx on my feed that I'm not looking for. One of them is like, and I talk about this in the in that video on AI. One of those things is these real going absolutely viral, like Yeti and Bigfoot vlogs. James, you know what I'm talking about? Hey there, Jim. Thank you. Jim Fairburn has entered the video on how to pack a painting. Check that out, James. I tossed some fruit on the table and challenged myself to finish. The objective was not perfection. Fruit to eat, Phillips, or fruit to paint? I'm going to assume you mean painting. Scrolling's addictive and it's my downfall. Yeah, those things were made to be definitely addictive and hooks. So I think I've stumbled upon my green. As you can see, it's a dark green, it's a drab green, but this is dawn. The sun hasn't even come up yet. Look at that very dark and drab there, isn't it? So I want to think about some colors here. What do we want to come out of that sky? What are some that really like they're the important colors? I'm going to go ahead and say I really feel like that orange and that yellow are going to be vitally important. So maybe here in our foreground, we need to go for a little bit more blue. I'm going to desaturate slightly. Now the reason I'm going for the blue, and maybe a little violet, I'm going to desaturate with a little bit of burnt umber because I don't want saturated color. But I want some depth and darkness in here. I'm going for the complementary opposite so that whatever we're having happen up in that sky is contrasted with what we've got going on in the foreground. Now, there are going to be little pops of dark tone here in the foreground. I'm going to break up that because we had a discussion before about, hey, don't make it a stream. Okay, agreed. Let's just have a little bit of water just right there, like a puddle. Have a little bit right there too, just a touch. Doesn't have to be much. but it's kind of moving off in that direction. Just a little something. So you can see it's kind of starting to form a little arrow. Bottom of the painting here. So allow me to just move that 1 second. Let's just kick that up a notch. There we go. Is that better? Much nicer. Will the live chat be available in the replay? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it will be, Nikki. Check that button, and you can always on YouTube. You can pull up that live chat. Pop in here. So I set boundaries with social media. She says, I really despise scrolling with the intro to AI. So just put it down to go outside with Sketchbook and go talk to the cows. Awesome. Good move. Good move. All right. I'm trying to limit my scrolling, but those cat videos get me every time. Yeah. I love these live streams, Andrew. Hey, you too. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Hey, Daniel Beresford's in the house. Hey, thanks for popping in, man. All right. Cool. Again, if you got a question, just hit me up with 3 capital Qs, and that way I'll see it. Otherwise, if you've noticed, folks, if you notice that I've missed a couple of questions, then please just let me know. Now, some of these are going to be stickery and bushy. Some, and by the way, so far, I've been using a little bit of paint. It's relatively thin. You can see a bit of that imprimatura coming through here and there. But mostly these synthetics just pushing that paint into the weave of the linen. By the way, the linen fine weave, so the texture is not getting in the way at all. Incredibly fine weave. And this is allowing for maybe a little more detail later on in the process as we hone in on the final resolve. So far, with what we've just put into the foreground, I don't know about just a little bit of depth appearing, just a little. I think one thing is if we illuminated the field just a little bit more out here, you're looking at this going, field? What field, dude? What field? What are you talking about? Well, I'm getting an indication of some horizontal plane sitting out here. And this is one of the things I'm playing with this idea. And I often paint very big, complicated paintings with so much going on. So it's going to be and simple. But I'm thinking just a little bit lighter blue, a little bit of Flemish white, which, by the way, the thing I'm noticing about Flemish, be interested in this. The Flemish is sitting between titanium and cremnitz in terms of its opacity. It doesn't feel like a very opaque white, but not quite as opaque, but it's certainly like the cremnitz. Very interesting. Very interesting. But because it's lead-based, it means that we're going to get some really nice archival quality in our mixes. Now, lead's been demonized. For all my newbies, they're like, oh my goodness, you're using lead. That's right. It's been really demonized in today's world because, you know, of its toxicity. But here's the deal. We employ good studio practice, right? I'm making the oil painting fund good studio practice. And then if you paint on you, you're fine. Don't worry about it. It doesn't release a fume into the air because the particles are trapped in oil. And so there's really nothing to worry about. But what it gives our surface is outstanding. Now, do you see how just lifting up that tone slightly and just horizontal band, now the field's starting to appear. We've got this gentle vector that's leading our eye out there. Is it just me, or do I need to put the doobie down? Am I smoking too much? Or can you see it too? All right, well, bear with me and we'll continue to chip away. All right, I get a question here. I got one here from Virginia. Hello. What color did you use for the tone of the working now? This quinacridone red. Quinacridone red rose. Beautiful color. Transparent color. Beautiful kind of pink to work over. So I'm going to try that for the next one. Doubt we'll get to it today because talking and painting, it causes me to slow down a little bit. That's right, I just blamed you. Yeah, right, there you go, Stephanie. Yeah. Don't start with me, Alice. Don't you bloody start. No, okay, for my newbies, here this is becoming a game, and I find it very offensive. All right, the game is spot the creature in whatever weird shapes Andrew's painting, and I. Oh, big bird. All right, I'll sort you out. I'll sort you out, Alice. How dare you? Yeah, how dare you, James? Yeah, exactly. Good morning, John. How are you? Do you over? How do you overcome the darkness of the photograph in the painting, the true color we see in reality? John, fantastic question. Okay, so here's the thing with a lot of the references. So I paint from reference for sure, but you've got to build a visual reference in your mind, which means you're going to have some way of taking mental note of the world around you so you can onto the canvas. You need to be able to faithfully represent to your viewer in a way that it rings true for the viewer. And sometimes when we're painting just from photographs, we can't do that. So you know what I'm about to say here. You do, Jean, you do this beautifully. Get out there and paint more plein air. And get out there and maybe even, look, here, I got this little sketchbook. I'll show you this, okay? This is what I carry with me. Now, a gentleman in the U.S., Brian is his name, BMH Knives, when I first started YouTube, he sent me this. I still have it. It's a leather-bound sketchbook, and it holds a little moleskin notebook, and I've just got a plain page moleskin notebook in this. Now, what's a knife maker doing at BMH? There's his logo on the front. Can you see that? I'll tilt it to the light. There you go. It's beautiful. But what's a knife maker using making sketchbook covers? Well, it's not just a sketchbook cover, is it? It's like a scabbard for a frick tanto. So he's hiding here in the back of the sketchbook. And I tell you what, I remember every time I go through TSA to take that sucker out of that sketchbook because it's like, you've got like a chopped off sword in your bag there, sir. I'm like, oh yeah, well, sorry about that. So I've managed to remember every time, hence I still have it. But just taking a little sketchbook like that with you, Jean, and just making some notes. Do a quick little scribble and make some notes while it's fresh in your mind. And then that way you have something that you can call upon later. Make sense? Yeah, there you go. There you go. Can't wait to see the sky painted. All right, Phillips, let's get going. Before we paint that sky, one thing I want to do is flesh out Big Bird right here and get that sorted. Do I have a wee bit of something here that would work? Let's see. I'm going to go to my full reference list. Here we go. And I did shoot some pines. But I might have to just draw upon my own visual memory and come up with something. Yeah, I'm not. So I'll just use my own memory. That's all right. That's all right. We'll come up with something. Hopefully, I do Barney the Dog or Big Bird. Why is it always a character with you? Why is it? What's going on? Little off topic, asks Lynn. But I'm in the midst of painting a triple portrait. Wow, and for some reason, I keep making their skin tones too dark. Any tips? Right. Lynn, you might have to send me a photograph on the DMs over on the Academy, please. And just show me what you're working with, and I could probably order from there. But I would say that adding white isn't necessarily the answer. You can absolutely do that, but adding white is not necessarily the answer. So I think it would depend on what you were starting with. seen your work, I hesitate to guide you here. Do check out though some of my material there on the Academy. There's a bit more coming too, but check out some of that material. And one of the things I'd recommend is don't be afraid to go dark, but as long as you've got a really good light source, plenty of light, then you'll have something that plenty of light. Sorry, conversation between a mother and a 3.5-year-old background. Rachel and Hugo are talking. Let me make my point. So what I'd recommend is you want to have a really strong light source like the that I've used, or even lights. Don't be afraid to go to the skin tones, because when you pull out some of those highlights, then those highlights are even more bright by contrast. Phew, got there in the end. Is it best to paint the tree before the sunset, or does that matter? Lori, so I'm not going to paint the branches of the bare trees over the top of the, just right over the top of the sky once that's painted. But that said, I do to shape first, because it's going to give me something to work up to, the edge to work up to. It might be a little heavy, but I don't mind. A little bit of a steelyard composition here, for those of you who have read Edgar Payne's book. All right. Hugh, do you ever mix your knife? I always mix with a brush there, Andrew. By the way, if you're new here, Andrew, I think you might be new, correct? Otherwise, maybe you've been silently watching in the background and this is your first time commenting, but welcome to the Academy. Hit me up if you're new with 3 capital N's in the live chat for new. Russ, I'm going to shout you out. Tell me where you're watching from. Let me know. Shout out to all my new. All right. Hey, Pauline, Lindy, Sharon, welcome. Awesome. Well, this is, I apologize for this live, for the tech and whatnot, because normally it's a little bit smoother. Isn't that right? And Jim and Worcestershire. How do I pronounce that? Yeah. Anyway, nice to Charlottesville, Laura. There you go. Old but gold, says Balsam. There you go. Absolutely. Watching from New Mexico is Laura Arroz. Okay. From Bali. Very good. Excellent. All right. Worcestershire. Okay. Does that, okay, did I get it right? Worcestershire, says Irene. Irene's getting phonetics there. USA, proverbial. Awesome. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. Kitchener, Ontario, says Len. That's awesome. Robert Henry of the Art Spirit says to be aware of what your mind consumes. You what you eat, including choose what you read, watch, and look at online. Paul, I could not agree more. Valerie from Auckland, New Zealand. All right, another Kiwi in the fantastic. You're at the top of the country. I'm at the bottom of the country. So good to have your company here. Absolutely. Awesome. John's from Austin. Fantastic. I knew that, John. Well, it's good to have our newbies here. Welcome, welcome. Really great to have you here. All right, let's get another darker tree right here. Just, I don't know about you, but I kind of like the shapes. Then maybe a couple of Herefords. but maybe we could have a little something. We're gonna obscure a bit of ambiguity here. Why not? Some of this boundary between the tree and the grass here, underneath those trees. And then we're going to break that line with our collection. We're going to have a tree right here maybe. Let's do that. Let's give it a go. All right. QQQ, I've seen the brush loading video, but I'm still trying to figure out how to keep the paint from traveling up to the ferrule. How often do you roll the paint off the brush? So no, it depends on how you're loading that brush there, brother. Okay, so one of the things that I'm continually looking at it, it's not necessarily a set form, but it's going to come to the paint, but it's also going to come down to the type of fiber that you're using. You're going to see this happen a lot more with your daggers, and you're also going to see it a lot more with other bristle brushes. But your synthetic to just keep towards the front half. So mic is cracking, Rhiannon, because we're having tech issues. We're just going to roll with it, okay? We're just going to roll with it. I could try that. You could let me know if that's any better. Okay, so I'm putting it right there, but that doesn't feel like it's going to be any better. Oh, now you want me to? I'm going to fix it. I'm going to have to fix it. Let's try this again. Yeah, and Gary, tech issues this morning. We're just going to have to roll. Okay. Okay. How about now? Bad internet. It's also we can only do it. All right. But I'll know for next time. I will get that Ethernet cable set for next time. One more. And another tree. Let's go. Let's make this one slightly lighter. I'm seeing a little bit of warmth in my reference. Check out the image there on the right. That's kind of neat. Let's in a little bit of that color. Very thin and scrubby on some of these color studies. That's okay. The synthetic is actually giving us some really nice thin marks. So we want a willow of some nature right here. I'm going to paint up to that boundary, and then we're going to feather out. All right, I bought a set of your brushes, absolutely. Thank you, Laura. Awesome. Now, by the way, so just so you know, currently I'm not getting paid when you guys buy brushes from Rosemary & Co. But there is one thing, and Laura, I'm sorry if this upset you, off Rosemary & Co. brushes by being a member here on the Academy. The code to use is Tish Academy 10, all one word, all uppercase. The code for Blue Ridge Oils to get yourself 10% off is Academy 10. If I got that first, I apologize. 10 or Academy, all uppercase. Yeah, welcome, Lindy. Welcome. All right. Hit that thumbs up button. Yeah, awesome. Oh, thank you, John. I appreciate that. But because it's not like a YouTube live on this is only a private academy, the algorithm doesn't really matter. It's just us here. But I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's overlap some of these shapes. I'm actually going to get in another one of these trees. Down a bit lower. It's going to blend slightly in with that background mountain, but that's okay. I don't mind this collection of, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It's okay. It's okay. Now, these two masters are a little bit equal. One's got to be bigger than the other. I hear you. I hear you. I think what I'm going to do with this little painting is make the, put in a few more trees than I think I'll need. And then with the bigger version, maybe remove them. But I'm happy overall with that arrangement. Tish, no. So the numeral 1 and 0. Tish Academy 10. There you go. Noah's put it in there. R.E. Burton. or raw umber? When, Irene? Okay, so I've got both. I tend to use burnt umber predominantly though, because I like the heat. And I need that heat because it mixes in really nicely. It counteracts that ultramarine blue. And so when those two meet, they neutralize and makes a really deep tone. It is really part of the foundation of my color mixing. So I prefer that burnt umber, but I will use raw umber from time to time. But I like that burnt umber deep on the Blue Ridge site. The green grasses and Blue Hill is beautiful. Thank you, Nettie. Appreciate you. Okay, let's start now with some of these colors. This is a very tricky color arrangement. Very tricky, because we've got a few things going on. Have you ever tried to warm up your skies by mixing a little bit of yellow into that blue sky? And what happened? How about green? I bet you did. So we're going to have to be a little bit clever with our color mixing here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make up a nice cold gray. I know, but we're painting such a hot sky. But I think this color is really going to help us. Now I'm going to take my cobalt teal, mix it with a little bit of Flemish. I'm going to give liquid. And I'm going to add just a touch of quinacridone magenta. This will kick it out of that green zone, but it will give me a nice, subtle, slightly violet, light blue. And we're going to add a little bit more Flemish white to it. And you notice here I've got a nice hazy, grayed out blue color. Now, why would I use that? Check out the color just showing through the underside of that cloud. It'll sit somewhere here around that band. Now, as soon as I put that down, I'm starting to think maybe it's a touch dark, but it's too soon to tell. Let's just put that down. We need some sort of point of comparison. We could afford to go a couple of shades lighter. I'll add a bit more Flemish to it. So how then do we this color when we're trying to warm it up from turning green? Well, you need to go back to your color wheel and a bit of color theory for this. So our color wheel, when we look at that wheel, we've got seconds, and what opposite another have this complementary dynamic. Complementary opposites have the tendency to neutralize one another. So the orange takes away from the blue simultaneously. That blue is taken away from the orange. They start to gray each other out. True complements anyway. So I'm going to carry that as a stripe all the way across. I'm not going to worry about blending it down just yet. So what's complementary opposite, pray tell, of blue? The difference between the two lead whites I'm finding at the moment, Kathy, is that the Cremnitz is far more transparent than Flemish. But I'm just kind of getting my head around it. Still not sure if it's going to be a permanent feature. Like nickel yellow has ended up becoming that way. Absolutely love the nickel yellow. But I'm just playing with it more and just learning more about what the Flemish does. But so far, I'm digging it. So now I'm going to add a little bit of that nickel yellow deep to my combination. And if I don't have the balance right, it'll start to go green. Boom, it just hit a little bit of green. So to counteract that green picture, I need orange. One of two ways. I'm going to add a little bit of quinacridone to that nickel yellow. This will warm it up and red it out slightly, but in a subtle way. So now that goes a little more gray. Alternatively, what I can do is use a little permanent crimson. That might be an aggressive approach, but so far that seems to be grayed out, and I'm happy with that. Now, what this does is it forms a transitional color between that blue and the orange that's that. Now, when you look at that actual color, there does appear to be a lot of heat coming through. But if we blend slightly between the two, we'll start to get that effect. Just a little bit of that warmth goes a long way. Once I have that color in my brush, I like to work all the way across. Cameras are still recording there tomorrow? Yep, absolutely. Thank you. Right, if I missed your question, by the way, go ahead and hit me up again. Okay, I'm going to wipe off my brush. This is important while we're doing this. Continually wipe off your brush. And then that way, we're not going to be overcome with so much of the blue if we need to get into more warmth and more yellow. Now I'm going to go for a little bit of Indian yellow and a little cadmium red light and mix in just a touch more quinacridone and then boost that value by adding more Flemish. Get a nice gold, almost peach color, nice light tonally. Yeah, our stream is buffering. I'm seeing that from my end. Okay. Let me just adjust here. And the shutter speed and see if that works. I'm just gonna see on my other monitor if on the feed that's appearing like a little bit of a better picture. Let me have a look. Tell me if you could if that's better for the sky. It went ahead and darkened everything else, but I kind of want you to have a good idea of what this looks like. Concerning lighting from earlier, I don't know if I've asked this. 5K bulbs here that I want to put in, are these okay? Way too cool. Way too cool. So that's really blue light. The higher you go, Marley's, in your degrees Kelvin, the bluer it's going to be. The lower you go, for reference, the warmer it's going to be. So you want to just kick it to the cool side of white. And white's going to hover anywhere between, depending on manufacturers, I've heard all sorts of different stuff, but between 4,000 and 5,000. So call it about 4,500 is around about white. So I paint under 5,000 Kelvin, and that gives a cool nature. That's weird. But it's not so cool that it's throwing your out of whack. It's just cool enough. I need more cadmium red light. That will stop it really going green. That will give a little orangey quality. Does that make sense? Good morning. Yeah, how are you? New bulbs it is then. Yeah, so you also want to make sure that you have a high CRI. Marley's, I'd really recommend getting yourself a bicolor panel on Amazon or online with a high CRI. Can I see some more details with the lower aperture? Yes, in a second. How about I just paint this section of sky here, Lynn, and we'll do that. Now, one thing I like is the way this orangey color that I'm applying now reacts so nicely with that violet of the mountain. That's how we get a resonance there. I liked that anyway. Thought it was neat. Thought I'd share. Get some interesting undulation out there with our landscape in the distance. Reload that brush if we're getting. Now here's a problem. We've got a stripe of this peach color and a stripe of that blue. I'm going to work between those two stripes and ever so slightly, as I push that brush flat against that, just blend it out slightly. Wipe the brush, make another pass, bring some of that warmth up into that blue. Now, if we got our colors complementary enough, we'll avoid green. And I feel like I've just skated past green, to my eyes anyway. Now there's a slight coolish tinge to that. So I'm seeing some teal coming through in my reference. And so a little bit of that teal is poking through. But I don't know about you, but that's kind of working so far. Now we don't have any light in here. It's still pretty dark in the sky, but that's because we need those bright oranges and that bright pop of gold. Remember, we've got to build in a little bit of tonal contrast here. All right. From Melinda. Hello, Melinda. How are you? When you're talking about warm and cool, are you also considering the molecular warm and cool within the same color? Burnt umber is warm and moves forward, and raw umber is cool and moves back. I don't know what you mean by warm and cool. Sorry. I need to do some homework now. Thank you. I've been schooled today. Yeah, so I'll look into that a little bit. Very interesting question. All right. One of the things I like to do, I haven't done it here, but I do. I swear I like to do this. Let me find a brush here that'll work. For lack of a better one, I'll just pull an old trim filbert. I can't find my extra long filbert that I got from, I found it. Found it. That beautiful brush from Ben. Give it a little bit of a rinse there in the Gamsol. Extra long filbert. Thank you very much. Lovely stuff. There we go. Couple of fresh new paper towels. Lovely. So, Melinda, I'm going to ask you if you could rephrase that in some way. I don't know if I'm quite understanding the question, and I want to understand the question because that sounds really interesting. But what I can answer is warm and cool. Is that a consideration? Well, it's becoming more and more of a consideration for me with my colors. Whatever's going on in one area of the painting, like let's say I wanted to highlight a particular dynamic somewhat with our color. They're relatively cold and dark in the foreground, but then that light that comes through is going to be really hot, bright, and warm. So that's going to be an important distinction there. Right, same color that I used pretty much with Flemish, a bit of quinacridone magenta, a little bit of ultramarine blue, and Flemish white. There's a beautiful violet color in these clouds. I'm going to desaturate slightly with a bit of burnt umber. And this is going to be the base. And all I want is a touch of tonal contrast. Not too much, but we've got this shield of cloud here that's appeared in the sky. Y'all see it? I think we could afford to go a little bit darker. So a touch more burnt umber. A little bit, micro adjustments, a little bit more ultramarine blue. And let's bring that in there and see if that gives us the contrast. What I'm looking for is the right amount of contrast between that blue, strong, and these. So we've got this bank of cloud that comes across, and this will be the base upon which we add that real nice flush of warmth. I want to have something like the pizza base, right? That we're going to add that beautiful topping on top of. Well, now I'm hungry. Clip the top of that mountain. And then we'll start to create this pattern moving upwards. A little bit of interest. A bit more ultramarine blue. Found spots with a CR. You want to get above 90 Marlies. So look for a bicolor LED panel. Amaran's a good brand. GVM's a good brand. There's a lot out there. Color rendering index, Lynn. Color rendering index. So this refers to how full the color is. It's a little bit technical, but I think it's worth talking about and expanding in a video. In fact, I've got our very own Tisch Academy's own Piotr, who's going to be from Poland, right? He's going to be on this in the next issue of Paint FOMO, which I really need to get a edition of Paint FOMO. It's been going long. He's finished, but he's talked about CRI and what that means and why it's important for painters. So a great little addition there. But essentially it refers to how full the color is. So if you look at your color spectrum, right? White light, it's made up of all these colors. But manufacturing light is full color, for instance. It's one. But when they're manufacturing lights, they can only mimic color because they can't length out there. So they have a rating system for how that CRI works. So how much red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet comes through in that. And what you'll see is a series of bars represented on a graph of how much of each of these colors. And the problem with LED and manufactured lights is that there's a little bit of red, it dips down around the yellow, and then there's this enormous blue spike. So a lot of it, when it's warm, it's a lot of blue light there still. And blue light wavelength happens to be circadian rhythm, especially as we're trying to get to sleep. You know, you hear about so you want to get something that is full CRI as possible. This way, the manufacturer, what they're doing with better quality lights is they try and get as much of each of those wavelengths of light in there as possible to bring it as close to 100 as possible. They're still not going to do it. But as a general rule of thumb for me, for lights to paint under, I try to get 95 plus. All right, and it can be done. They're a little more expensive, but it can be done. Ah, good. There you go, Nettie. You're grounded. Hello, Lynn. Good to see you, Lynn Alderson. I responded to you about your lyrebird painting. Very good job on that too. Yeah, Sarah Emmons is in a different time zone there, and it's getting late for her. Well, thank you for joining us there, Sarah. We'll start to brush in with our extra long filbert. Oh, I can't tell you how it is to be back with you. So good. Really missed hanging out. So just trying to get that balance right of those three colors and Flemish white, of burnt umber, ultramarine blue, and quinacridone. And we're going to break up these clouds as they come upwards. Not every one of them is going to be catching the light. In fact, some of these I want to go darker. But I'm pretty much going to paint as I'm seeing there in that image on the left, pretty much. A little bit more heaviness towards the top. This will concentrate some of our attention downwards into the scene. Now again, this is only the start to our pizza base. We still have to add that topping, that flush of pink, those warm oranges, that glow top. About 40 minutes to go too, so we might make it today. We might finish this little color study today, which would be really nice. I'd love to do that. Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate you. Thank you, Antje. Yeah, it's in your DMs there, Lynn Alderson. It's in your DMs on the Academy. So I got a question here. I missed this from Nettie. Recently went to a 2-day plein air workshop. Very well-known artist. Confused and not knowing how to paint. Most of the students agreed. It was, oh no. Well, seeing as you just chewed them out, I don't suppose, hit me up in the DMs, let me know who it was. Don't put it here in the chat, Nettie, but I'm sorry to hear about that. Have I spoiled you, Nettie? I'm totally fishing right now. I totally am. Let's see if I catch anything. No, but I've noticed that. Like I really feel like if you're going to teach, you got to love teaching. I do, but I mean, it's the case with anything, whether you're learning guitar or drums or whatever, or even just, do you ever remember being in school? Maybe some of you are still in school because you got bad teachers. You got to have somebody who loves teaching. Back to the CI. These light bulbs in a camera shop. So again, don't think about bulbs. Do not put bulbs in your search. I would not paint under the bulbs, although there is a particular brand called UG LED, which I do use in a bigger studio. However, thank you. See, there you go. I caught one there with Tamara and Nettie. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Thank you. Don't get bulbs. Get a bicolor LED panel. Can somebody just Google Amaran PX? LED, that's exactly what I'm painting under right now. Amaran P60X. Yep, P60. AMARAN. Philips Hue light, says Antje. Okay. You're going to change out the ceiling spots. Okay. Well then, yep. If it's got to be a bulb, try UG LEDs. YUJILEDS. All right, I'm going to work between my pattern a little bit, sneak in here a little bit of sky. We must have a little bit of white. I've managed to get away from that titanium. Haven't really needed that. A little bit of that blue sky poking through some of those darker clouds. We could even afford to go a bit lighter on that. Eclipse filbert brush, number 4, by the way, in case you're interested. Now I'm noticing this definite cool tinge, so I'm going to go a little bit more cobalt teal on some of that blue, and that did it. That's a nice quality blue with that cobalt teal coming through. Right. Yes, that's exactly right, Marlies. Yeah. Niwar is great as well. I've got Niwar panels behind me. 96 plus, spot on there, John. Yep. Oh, Nettie, that's terrible. Oh, no. Yeah, see, I don't see this. We're all in the creative journey. We're all painters here, right? And we're all in our own journey at our own level. You know, the reason you're here, I imagine, besides, you know, the awesome community and what we're able to feed creation and how we can contribute to each other, but it's just to take where you are and just in your, you know, based on your own ability and based on the information, is just go a few notches up and just leveling up. But like I don't get the sense of that. I really cannot stand the elitist. You know, some artists have this. You know, to be able to paint, to have any ability at all to do this, and to be in that position where that is not a given. That is a blessing as far as I'm concerned. So, I mean, it's not even something that I feel personally I can take credit for. Yes, I've worked hard for it, but I'm humbled, man, because I can't take credit. So how could that upset me, Nettie? You can't hold it over anybody. So I'm sorry you had that experience. That's really terrible. But anyway, that's yeah, you get that. You get those. I've had them. I've had them. Oh, Lori, thank you. Ah, love you back. That's awesome. Yeah, and well, yeah, you paid money for it too, huh? Yeah, yeah. See, just cringing and it's about your experience there. That's terrible. All right. Well, look, back to painting. Let's Yeah, I'm thinking about doing something radical here. I hope you don't mind. Oh, you're not gonna like it. I know you're not gonna like it, but I've got to do it. So I'm brushing in. You can see this dark color, and then we've punctuated. We've broken it up. We've interrupted the pattern, and spread apart these clouds as it's going off the top of the sky. You can follow looking at that reference. You notice the interplay of the colors. See, this is you got to be a little strategic here because you've got happening behind this golden color through to your blue. Goodness me, without it going green, moving up in blue, almost a little lighter. It looks like in some up this interference pattern. So it's about how to layer one thing on another. It can be a little difficult to get your head around, but strategy. Can you do a video on pricing your work? Yes, I can, Sharon Jones. I can also tell you right now how I price my work. Bloody expensive. No, I'm kidding. There are a couple of ways you can price your work. Number one. Can we just do this, please? Enough of selling. Please honor yourself in what you put into this. When you're starting out, charge an hourly rate for what you do to create what you do. Okay. Then add to that material cost. An idea of a starting point for hourly rate is okay. A doctor or a lawyer who's got training would be billing you at about $1,000 an hour. Maybe, I don't know. But depending, like a highly paid surgeon or somebody that is a really, experienced legal counsel. Not that I'm a fan of lawyers, but you know what I'm saying. So start with an hourly rate. So of the high end like that, we're just starting out here. So then maybe a kind of a professional, maybe someone have to come out and or maybe or a professional house or whatever, something like that. So you'd be charging in $40 to $50 an hour country. And so what I do if I was starting out is I'd come just below that. Not minimum wage, not quite that level, somewhere between. So maybe about $30, $35 an hour. So then by the time I put 10 hours into a painting, that's a $300 painting. Add to that, that was going to be upsetting is I'm going to come through and I'm going to brush across some of that brushwork ever so slightly and blend ever so slightly and just create a bit of softness up here with my sky. I often don't blend and blur. However, I think that's nice. I think that would help things a little bit here. Register, particularly when I get some sharpness in here with my trees and my line work. So that's one way. Now, the other way you can do is price per square inch. Expensive paint you can buy of mine is an 8 by 10. Per square inch, smaller paintings are a little more expensive. Bigger paintings actually being a little bit cheaper. Well, you wouldn't call it because exponential is that hockey stick that goes up. This one starts very steep and then starts to plateau off. So facing you starts like going this way steep and begins to level off. So there's a couple of ways that I do it. But does that answer your question there, Sharon? So that's how I do it. How should I point the neo directly or 45-degree angle or bounce off the ceiling? John, what color is your ceiling? If you've got a white ceiling, bounce it off the ceiling. Especially if you have like what I have here. It's beautiful, even really light. No burn spots. I can work on a relatively large canvas. I got a 36 by 48 commission I'm working now. That's going pretty good under these lights. Painting small is harder in my opinion. Okay, yeah, it can be. How much 8 by 10? They go from anywhere between 2 to 2.5 there, Sharon. It may help to modify their teaching style. Yeah, Nikki. Yeah. Okay, so Marley's is coming through. Following that question, I'm scared to price my stuff too high because of the fear people won't buy anything they already don't, so I don't want to scare them away. But there's something else that can happen too, Marlies. And we have a call pretty soon, I hope, Marlies, a Zoom call. So again, I'll get on to Megan today and we'll get that organized. We were going to do those business Zoom. But sometimes when you price your work too cheap, or when anything's priced too cheap, I mean, you know yourself, you walk into the store, you're looking for something, you're looking at the pricing, and if that comes below, the first question in your mind is, what's wrong with it? Why is this so cheap? Sometimes pricing at a premium price, the opposite can happen. People aspire to acquire this thing, right? Now, that's not necessarily what I've done with my career is I've allowed the market to price the work. And early on, I had agents pricing my work. But once market value is established, you cannot come below that. And that's why, if you know my story, I found myself really tight, priced high, market gone, couldn't move work, couldn't drop the price to meet the market where it was. And so I flatlined and went completely bust. Happened to me twice. Thought today, wasn't sure if I mistook the date or it's tomorrow, but yeah, please organize. Oh, okay. So, okay, beg your pardon then, Marley. So we have a scheduling error then. I'll get on to Megan about that one and we'll get that one sorted out for you, okay? Sorry about the confusion. I did not see that in my calendar, okay? Are you clean or are you also using Terp? No, sorry. I'm just wiping it clean. I'm using Gamsol here in studio. I don't have a lot of it in my jar. Much I have in my jar. Sweet swishing around there. Can I just, let me just give my boy a quick kiss. Goodbye. He's going to kindy. Just 1 second. My goodness. I have a friend in Texas and she lives in Perth actually. She's married to, she's one of the most Texan people I've ever met. And she's married to one of the most Aussie people I've ever met, Gina and Wayne. Absolutely love them to bits. And Gina said before I had Hugo, well, before we had Hugo, that she's like, you'll never love something so much in your life. Like, you know, like, oh my goodness, yeah. So, and now I know that's true. But you know, it brings to mind another line that I heard, which is, so sweet, I could sop you up with the biscuit. I tell you what, man, that is just overload. We had fist bump and high five, and he's all kindergarten. He's still pretty young, but it's kind of daycare in a way here in New Zealand. But it's going quick, Alice. It's going quick. I tell you what. Well, Marlies, I tell you what. On a call with you after I put live stream down, if that will work for you, just let me know in live chat. I'm happy to jump on a call after this. I just recognize it's getting very late for you where you are, but if you want to on a call with me, time and do it right after this live stream, okay? So just let me know. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's get back to this. Let's mix up a little more color here. Now we're going for that really beautiful pink. I'm going to dabble my toes a little bit here. Okay, I'm not going all the way. I'm going to get out a little bit of cadmium red. I'm going to get crimson. Add my Flemish. I'm going to add to that a little bit of yellow. And let's see, that's pretty intense. It's pretty strong. I think I need to bring it back down a bit. What happens when I take quinacridone and mix that with Indian yellow? Ooh, That's nice. Oh, I like that one. Oh, that's going to work. I like that. Very hot. Okay, Marley's, just in the meantime, just go ahead and make sure you've got Zoom. I will send you a link to your email. No, I'll send you a link. I will have Megan email you a brand new link. Okay? So make sure you check your email. I'm going to forward that through to you immediately. And let Megan know right now. Here we go. Oh, Vanessa Jones is texting me. I'll get back to you later, Vanessa. Here we go. Sorry, folks. I just need to make sure I do this. Okay, forward her email. Boom. Cool. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Ah, misspelled the name. Oh, goodness. Yep. Got it. Done and done. Yep. No worries. Two totally different values. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting? Why is that? I'll tell you why this is happening. It's because context. Context matters. Now, that color there is similar to the highlight color that we're applying anyway, so I've gone a little bit darker. But what's happening is the context of the neutral gray on the palette is vastly different to the imprimatura that we're working over. I'm able to judge my color by looking at that neutral gray. The minute I put it here, it starts to look a little bit different. Now that can be frustrating, but I mean, you do get used to it, but I prefer mixing on that gray palette. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Sue. It's going to be really close to what's on the camera already. Now, as I and I a little more of this color, and I start picking up some of this color. Actually, this is reminding me of a critique I'm doing right now for Dana Ryan over on the Academy. That one's going to be coming out pretty soon. But I'm doing a very similar sunset sky. And didn't we do one for Srinivas as well? Come to think of it, I think we did. So now I'm going to blend between those two, get some more. It's looking pretty intense there over on the other monitor, but hey, it's an intense type scenario. Just like camping, that's intense. Ha! Never mind. Okay, I'm sorry. Why not the same color as the palette so they're the same? Irene, try it. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. The point with mixing color on the palette is to be able to gauge colors other and gauge value, right? But the point of having the imprimatur is to create vibrance and resonance. When you have a neutral gray, you don't necessarily get that. However, when I'm mixing the color, I'm able to judge very quickly how that looks, how that works. Now again, it's something you get used to. However, if you're using a wooden, sometimes you're very close to this anyway. 1 second, Marley's. All right, there we go. Is that gray glass for the palette? Yeah, so Pauline, so it's actually the shelf out of an old refrigerator. It's still the same palette I've been using since and I spray painted the back of that palette. I spray painted the back of that palette gray with a neutral gray spray paint. The back of the palette. So I'm going to go through with a flush of this pink color. Again, this is just forming a little bit of a, still working on the base. Just filling in some of those gaps, adding a little bit of that heat. Brushing it in, blending it in, like rounding out that form a little bit. I do like some of these clouds that have cut through as well. They're very nice. When I say cut through, they've kind of cut through that stripe of sky there, so I might add a couple of those here in just a second. Okay, I got a question here from Irene. Oh, no, that's the one I read. That is a good question, though, isn't it, Lynn? Yes. And I've answered that one from Pauline. Yep, cool. Yeah, it'll be just search palette on my and it will be a very old video from back in 2016, 2017. Most likely 2016. I left Australia in 2017. All right. Well, I don't know about you. I feel like we're getting somewhere. He said. A little bit of softness again, coming through with the same brush. This really helps just feather out the edges, give me a little bit more of an atmospheric look. You can overdo it, so I'm just carefully moving along. So, I know it's dangerous, but I want to add that stripe of cloud there. I'm going to use this soft brush here to do it. Just edge on. A little bit right there in the sky. You bloody beauty, mate. Now we got something that could catch a little bit of that highlight. All right. Whew. Okay, are you intending to lighten the dark tree or dark sky? Yeah, no, I'm getting there with the light. Again, you know me, Nikki. What do? I save that tonal best, right? I really limit that and then end up bringing out some of that later on in the process. That lighter tone. Now the edge of that tree needed to be softened somewhat, as did this tree here. Right. Goodness, 15 to go. Let's see if we can, screaming into the finish line here. Let's see if we can make this happen. Kill a few gaps in this imprimatura. Okay. So I don't know about you, like where this river is going, and because of the brightness of the imprimatur, it feels visually more or less correct to my eye. But I want to limit the amount of light that's going to be reflecting there. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this burnt umber, a bit more ultramarine blue, a bit of cobalt blue here, and let's go ahead and brush in a little bit more of our darkness. Again, with a lot of these little thumbnail paintings, I do end up doing a little bit of scumbling, I must say. I'm not as careful with my brushwork. I'm going for a value arrangement, very basic color, but the main thing is shoot from the hip, get an idea of composition. Are we on to a winner? I think the big thing for me, though, is emotionally, let go. Like, let go. Don't sweat stuff. Don't get it and really hang on to this too tightly. That's important. Now, I'm going to do something here that is a little bit out of sequence for me. So I'm not going to save my tonal best for last. I might, hang on. No, I will. But I'm going to go a half step. I'm going to get that orange in there first, and then we're going to come over with some branches. Okay. What brush should we use? I like that one. That's an old, oh gosh, that is a terrible looking brush. Look at this thing. It's an old trimmed bristle dagger. Terrible shape, but that's going to make a lovely shape, but if you know what I mean. It's in good, bad shape. But that's going to make a really nice brush. And it just so happens that Indian yellow and cadmium red light makes the zingiest of zingy oranges absolutely beautiful. Mix into there a little bit of Flemish, and you got yourself some friggin' color. A little bit of thickness here with a bit of liquid impasto. Let's come through and see if this works. Oh, it's an, oh, okay. Okay, a little bit of thickness there. Now, when we've got a constant thicker highlight over a very diffused soft background, that contrast in your surface texture creates a really nice effect. Very nice effect. Now, I'm imagining that sun is just below the horizon right there. And so, of course, that's justifying this beautiful reflection bound up underneath cloud. Okay. I'm going to have to send you a new one because Megan didn't get the memo there, Marley. So just check your email here in a little bit, and I'll send you a new fresh link, okay? So I'm trying to text her at the same time as doing the live stream. And for those of you, it's like Megan, who's my assistant, and she helps basically organize my friggin' life, which I need right now. And so she actually is mine and Rachel's. She helps Rachel a great deal too, and has been absolutely instrumental with this this new development, this build that we're doing, the fit out for the space. A lot of people have been asking about that, like, am I going to be filming it? Am I going to be talking about it? You betcha. I'm going to be doing a bit of extended content as well on the Academy, sharing with you why I've done it, how I've done it, and interesting. I read a few comments there on some of that creator activator material from people going, huh, I never knew that I could just rent a space and do my own, you know? Don't worry about the gallery model. I could do my own thing. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It is possible. Galleries have their place, but, you know, I like to do my own thing. All right. There's some color. Well, now I wasn't having fun before. Now I'm having fun the minute this orange went in there. I'm looking at the monitor and that seems to be registering okay. Okay, let's go over the top. Let's, hey, that fan brush, why not? That'll be good. All right, thank you, Balsam. Thank you very much. Do you have an idea of when your space will be up and ready? In 1 month's time, pretty much we'll be in that space. That's why I'm going to be from my home studio, so you don't miss out on any of the live streams. So it's going to be in about another month from now. So it looks like the gallery will be open 1st of August, but the studio space, we should be in there working roughly by mid-July. Good. I'm glad, Tony. Thank you. Request a critique of a painting. David, you up on the Academy. And a painting, the subject, Great Blue Heron. River in my back. Fantastic, David. That sounds like an awesome subject. David, please send me a DM on the Academy and I will take a look. Now, I get a lot of critiques. I cannot get to everybody. You know, we're blessed with so many community members here. What I'm looking for is some issues that have come up in your path that other people are experiencing, and I'm looking for basically some teachable moments so that we can all share in that lesson. Is that fair enough? But unfortunately, I just cannot get to. I've had poor Hawar waiting now for months, it would seem, for their critique video. And I apologize, I'm really dropped the ball on that. I've got Shauna, I've got Dana Ryan, who I'm working on a critique for as well. But apart from that, I think I'm free to do another. So I got another 3 that I'm working on. I do have a few others, but I might opt for doing some newer requests. Trimmed fan, giving me some broken marks, working back over the top, bit of sharpness over that sky, silhouetted pine tree against a lighter sky. Very simple color arrangement now that you're in the foreground. So tone, value, a deeper value is what's going to help us bring this forward. Hopefully we've killed Big Bird. But now he's gone from Big to Harry McClary. I don't know. Did anybody else read Harry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy? Hugo friggin' loves that book. All right. There you go, David. Yep, no worries. Yep, no worries, Marlies. You got it. You got it. Yeah, you're breaking it. There you go. Yeah, so with a lot of the new critiques there, Len, some people are jumping on a Zoom call with me, but you don't have to do that. It can just be send me an image and I'll do it on my own. Oh, stop it, Kathy Dixon. There you go again. You and Alice, see me after class. All right, there's one thing I'll hope you'll forgive me today, and that is the of cows. I've got a hard stop now on this stream. Now this one, that doesn't look like it's going to give me a very nice line. I would like something that's going to give me a nice line, please. Let's go. Ivory, synthetic here, ivory dye, and we've a short handle, 1/8 of an inch. Now, it's a little bit splayed out, but when I load it with paint, it should give me some nice quality lines. And just like we've loaded it with, let's go ahead and see if we can get not too many, but just a couple of branches up in our tree. We can really overdo the branches, I found. So just a couple of lines just to give an indication that there's something holding up this dark set of shapes. Cool. Good fun. It went from a blob to a tree. Well, hopefully, anyway. I'm going to lighten the tone slightly. And let's get over here. Do I have another one? Yeah, brilliant. So lighten the tone. The reason why is that I want this to hold a space in the composition that's a little bit further away. The darker tones are going to come forward, right? So here, against that sky, bold move, but I want a poplar to come up. So with the sharpness of some of these lines, and I'm reloading the brush between, I'm hoping that this is going to contrast really nicely with the softness of that sky. And having also a point of tonal contrast, so the darkness of these trees, makes our sky look even brighter. I also love a contrast of shape. So we got some round shapes, like the willow, that's just below. And then we've got something like this poplar that's a very tall, elongated shape. All it does is create a little bit of visual interest in our painting. Just a point of difference. Now, I find that contrasts really well in other areas too. Very interesting. It's like a pattern interrupt. You know, sometimes when I'm listening to music that has that pattern interrupt that's built into the song structure. So if it's too much of the same thing over and over and over again, what happens? We get bored. All right, so that's going to require a little more detail. I'll save it for another session. Marlies, I'm going to be a little bit late on our call. I'm going to go for another 5 minutes. Is that okay? I need just a little bit more time here. I do think just a dark shape here. I don't know, but I wouldn't mind. Just something there. Cow-like. Yeah, just something breaking up that space I think would really help. Is it a cow? Well, no, it's just a blob of paint at the moment, but the dark shape just holds a space, and compositionally I could see that darkness would actually really work right there. That's my story, I'm sticking to it. Right, now, this area of sky, that's going to be the thing that's reflecting. So let's go ahead and let's get that reflecting in there. Yeah, I've been rolling the whole time here tomorrow. These are great. They'll go to our files. So yeah, cool. Big problem for me, knowing when to stop. Especially keep growing. I hear you. I hear you. I wouldn't mind. Oh, by the way, seeing as I have you here tomorrow, can I just tell you, your paintings I'm going to be shipping very, very soon. Just one slight problem. They're in a box, and I'm not sure which one they're in. So, okay, hit me up in the DMs or let me know right now, and I will do my best. I'll go into storage. We've got some storage units, and it was just chaos. And unfortunately, they're very safe, pretty deep, I fear, and I haven't come across them yet. But they're in there. Yeah, I'll work on that one later. Now, yeah, I know, right? 5 more minutes to charge your phone. Yeah, make sure your phone's charged. Okay, there you go, Marley. So make sure your phone is charged and ready to go. Very good. All right. Back to our synthetic pointed round. Pick up a little bit of this color we had prepared earlier. I'm going to mix in with it a little bit of that orange, bit of that Flemish white, bit more orange. Let's see if we can find the right balance. We want a nice warm color, very similar to that in Prematura, but I'm going to reflect some of that color right here. Just a spot of reflection, just a little. You almost didn't even know. I almost didn't even need to do it. It's so close to that in Prematura. But when we say warm, all it was, it break up the mass of the foreground, but with just a little bit, right? Not much. All right. This looks, thank you, Marlies. Appreciate you. Okay, now, one final touch. Let's have a look here. There's one area here on the painting, and I'm going to get a brand new brush. What do I have here? What do I have? Let's go another one of the daggers. Tonal best time. And you'll notice in that little bit of reference material, go ahead and download the references if you haven't already. But that is an intensity to this punch of gold that's just starting to lift above that horizon line. Not quite full sun, but just starting to lift, and it's just starting to illuminate the underside of that cloud. Now, pray tell, how are we going to do this? Now's the time I'm going to get out that titanium white for maximum reflectivity. A little bit of Naples yellow. And I'm going to add, just for this first part, on one side, a little bit more of that Naples yellow deep, and a bit of that intensity from the orange that we had achieved before. A bit more titanium white. And I'm going to work this color here. Very bright on your screen, I know, but there's a subtle difference. There's a slightly more orangey, slightly more yellowy variety. Both of them pretty darn light. Right here, as dawn's about to break against that horizon line, I'm just going to increase the fire just subtly. It's just a hint of brighter tone. Now, by the way, is to one point I'm thinking about that light source. How do you like that? Yeah, I thought you'd like that. I thought you'd like that. Just 1 second, Tink. All right, and would you add this one layer? I'm just steady my hand for this one. Right against the underside of that cloud. I think a little bit of Hansa yellow. Would really help. Bit more gold in there. There we go. Edge ivory. Nice thick line. It's starting to burn out. Now, a bit more intensity now with this orange. Now that we can see exactly where that light source is. Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna call it. That was fun. No, I'm not gonna call it. What are you talking about? Don't let me get away with nothing. Don't let me get away with nothing. I'll color back out there. Could be a little bit more light on that water right there. Yeah, oh, man, come on. That was fun. That was fun. Pauline, it's a sunrise, so I still have to. Is there a difference between sunrise and sunset? I don't know. But this is sunrise, the way I saw it driving out there towards Dunedin Airport as that field was just whipping by and the trees were forming this really nice composition. And so I like the way the light's framed between those darker trees, the different trees. I thought a nicer, big painting. I'm going to give it a second layer of paint though. I'm going to work on that concept some more. But that was fun. I really enjoyed that. Hope you did too. All right, so again, download that reference material. You'll find to the live stream here. Follow a few of these techniques that you've seen in today's stream. Of course, further. This is only the first layer. But I really hope did you learn something today? Did you find a new text? I found the DM tab, but I will send a DM to you. So all you got to do there, David, is go over to the left-hand side of the screen, click on my profile airplane button, and flick a DM to me that way. Okay. Hey, thank you, Alice. Appreciate that. No Big Bird, right? Okay, cool. Thank you, Balsam. Appreciate you. Thank you, Carol. Hey, Scott, I'm out of lead white, brother. The good stuff. You know what I'm talking about? The good stuff. But I do have this other one that you made, Scott. I got this. I got this one. Here we go. That one there. You know the one? So I'm going to get that one next. When I figured out I really stole all of it. But anyway, good to see you, bro. Yes, fun. Thank you very much for sharing this studio once again. It's been wonderful coming back to you from the studio. So 9.1 to 9.5, and then we'll have the grand 100 Big Enchilada celebration live stream from the brand new studio. But we're going to start doing these weekly. Might even do a week. If you're in the studio tier, you've just had a glimpse of what it's like to be live, when we do our weekly Academy VIP live. Consider it's worth it, because there's a lot more information that we can talk about, and we could just, shoot the breeze and talk shop here in these live streams, mix it up, and cover those questions that you have. But again, it's our chance to uncover even more techniques and talk about even more stuff. And there's a lot of variety in the live streams too. We're doing all kinds of stuff, from landscapes to seascapes to portraits. Even did a few still lifes there. So if this sounds like your jam, then consider upgrading to the studio to the Academy VIP tier. But that's going to do it for today. I'm going to jump on an art business call now. Marley's. I will see you again next week. We will be announcing that time for the live stream next week. I got to have a chat to my team, and we'll set that time and place this Friday for the following week. Okay, so keep an eye out. Check those emails. You got the emails that are coming from Tish Academy, and also check your announcements on your homepage, and we'll also update that homepage with new links to future live streams. So 99.2 coming your way next week. Awesome being back with you. I've missed you so much. Sorry about the technical bugs. We'll get those sorted out for the following live stream. Okay? Thanks again. God bless, and we'll see you next week. Bye!